Hi, you're listening to another episode of Moral Ambiguity After Dark. Uh, Jace and Nick will be joining us here in a minute, but for right now, I'm here with Jake, who
I
plays
want
our beloved Ilfelidel.
I want some chicken wings.
Man, I haven't had chicken wings in forever. So before we started recording, we were looking at different fashion brands,
He's right.
specifically Cantrip, Cloak, and Boohoo Man, and Death Saves, and Vapor 95. Great intro. Did you?
Sorry, I'm distracted by items and accessories that I don't need to buy.
That's a constant mood, though. You know what I didn't need to buy, but I did anyway, and it just came in today?
Hmm.
I got an art tablet.
The-
I bought a Huion, some or other. A Huion H610. And I was doing a couple of doubles in Photoshop. I'm gonna try to learn how to do some art. Do some good art. Because there's
Nice.
only two things I want to do. I want to draw cute girls, and I want to make little doodles and shit.
I bought like new sheets and a duvet cover for my bed.
Nice.
Didn't need to. I just wanted to change the color. I bought a pair of pants like a while ago, and they're not here yet. And the link to track the delivery or the shipping doesn't work.
Oh my god.
So CERN's brand, if you're out there, listen, give me my fucking pants.
Give the man his pants!
But other than that, I've ordered some new work clothes. Well, pants. I did order some shirts a while ago for work, but
The most recent
um,
shirt that I got is I'm testing out a different print on demand company
yeah.
for some Shadow Sense stuff. Uh so I set up a store on TeePublic, and it was weird because within like an hour of setting that store up, my account got deleted because they thought I was infringing copyright on my own designs.
What the fuck?
So I had to email their legal team and like, no, I own this design, and this design specifically hasn't existed since before November 2020. And they're like, oh, okay, here's your shop back. I was like, okay, weird. But yeah,
Fuck.
I got a test print of one of the shirts, and it's good. It's a good shirt. Yeah, I was trying to think of something too, but then I got distracted by print on demand.
Oh, I recently ordered or started a subscription to something called the Bespoke Box.
This
Um,
sounds interesting as all hell.
it is pretty interesting. It's a subscription box. Um, so like, I
None of
mean,
this is sponsored, by the way, obviously.
no, but I mean, bespoke if you if you want. Um, but it's I mean, you've done subscription boxes before. You pay like a monthly subscription, and then every month they send you a box with some cool shit in it. Um, and the bespoke box is kind of just like interesting, interesting stuff. Like there's like coffee stuff, whiskey stuff, outdoorsy trail stuff.
Yeah, I'm on here right
Um,
now.
there's like practical, like weird everyday carry things. Like this looks like a this looks like it has like a bottle opener and like what is it? There's like this
This
little multi-tool thing that's got like like 12 different functions on it, like bottle opener, sundial, ruler, uh tent peg puller. It's got a tiny little saw like built in, like um it's just all this interesting kind of random stuff. Um
yeah, seems kind of cool.
it's I don't know. I saw it sponsored in a video, and I was like, "This looks kind of neat," and checked it out.
I
The
like how they have
subscription is a
one
little
called.
more than some are. I think, like, I don't know. You've probably done more subscription. This is my first subscription box thing ever, so I don't know how much they usually are.
Well, it looks like Bespoke is $45. Let me. The only like subscription box I actually did was Japan Crate,
Oh yeah.
which I think was $30 a month.
Okay, so
Get
it's not
Wrestle
bad.
Crate.
Hey, what's up, Jace?
Yeah, it took me a minute. But no, I get the Wrestle Crate, and I did just sign up for the quarterly AEW one because I'm a fucking mark.
Okay, no, the Japan Crate's $50.
Okay, so it's pretty.
Yeah,
I
it's
I, I know
reasonably
Japan Crate is a
priced.
pretty popular one.
No, Wrestle Crate is. I have a little bit of an upcharge because I have to get the bigger size shirts. So I think mine ends up being right around 40 when everything's said and done. Um, the AEW one is 50, but it's also only the 4 times a year, and you actually get a chance to win front row tickets every box.
That's
So,
pretty sick.
so for $50 4 times a year, I think I can deal with that. Plus, I love all the little, you know, knick-knack bullshit because
I I can't remember what delivery I got it in, but I remember Pro Wrestling Tees just adding some extra shit to my order once.
yeah,
They,
there's every once in a while I've noticed they'll throw like what did you get? Because it's usually some small shit.
I got a Silas Young like switchblade
Oh shit.
and a Rock and Roll Express earbuds.
Yeah, there was a time where they had a bunch of overstock, I think, and they were just throwing shit out.
That's probably what it was.
I will say that I'm fucking stoked that so far the only way to get an official Dark Order mask has been through WrestleCrate, and I fucking have one.
That's dope as shit, dude.
Like like that has been such a requested item, and I'm so surprised they're not selling them yet.
I'm tempted. I want a Wrestle Crate, but I don't need it. I don't have room for. I'm running out of room for shit. Is what's happening.
Yeah, see, that's kind of where I'm running into is like the shirts. Like it's
Yeah,
great to get the 2 shirts every month, but like my dresser won't hold them.
24 shirts a year is pretty fucked. That's a
But
lot of shirt.
they're also all exclusive designs that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah. I was just telling Jake earlier. I my most recent purchase that I definitely didn't need is an art tablet. Just arrived today
Uh,
though. Listen, I just want to draw cute girls. That's all.
well, I mean,
I'm gonna. What?
we've begged them for a sponsorship before, but my last purchase that was something I didn't need was fucking Bad Dragon.
Nice, nice. I was just gonna say, would you guys look down on me if I started a career as a furry porn artist?
No, there's massive money in that if you can get good enough.
Good point.
Like like buku fucking money.
Jake has remained decidedly silent on this matter. Inside you, there are two wolves. You're at a furry convention.
God damn it.
My friend's been saying that in my fucking Sea of Thieves videos for the last 2 recording sessions we did.
A purchase I've been jumping back and forth on making that's D&D related is the Grim Hollow Monster Grimoire.
Yes.
Funded on Kickstarter. Goal was only $20,000, and with 15,530 backers, it has raised $1,348,160.
Repeat that. What was the original goal?
20,000. It
Jesus
has raised
Christ.
I'm
1.3
trying to
million.
I'm trying to do my math here. What's the
I do believe they've gotten multiple shout outs on Critical Role.
And the people for pledging like higher amounts, you really get a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through the pledge rewards.
Yeah, I mean, you get like
For their
you get the
highest
book.
for their
What's that?
highest tier at $480, you get the PDF, the hardcover, 10 maps, all regular, large, gigantic miniature box sets, all monster card sets, which are 5, a card binder, this Monster Grimoire special edition book, and a Trinket Collection.
That's pretty tits.
And that has
Yeah.
726 backers.
And the Trinket Collection is actually like kind of cool. It's like it's almost like the Gothic trinkets in Curse of Strahd. It's just like these weird, creepy little items.
Love that.
I've done 3 Kickstarters. One was for a cool set of metal dice. One was for the Tony Schiavone career story graphic novel. Because, again, I'm a fucking mark and I love Schiavone. And then I backed the latest MST3K one.
I've never backed a Kickstarter. Had I known about it sooner, I probably would have backed the Critical Role animated series. But by the time I started listening to Critical Role, I think the Kickstarter had just ended.
Yeah, I've jumped back and forth on Grim Hollow. I think I'm probably gonna wait until I have like a dark fantasy campaign kind of like
That'll call
loaded in
for
the
it.
chamber. Yeah, because right now I'm currently running Tyranny of Dragons with some modifications. Shout out to the Strongholds and Followers third-party source book. That one is really cool. It's all about running your own stronghold or base. It's got rules for like attracting followers and soldiers, building and upgrading, making repairs, all kinds of stuff like that.
Doesn't Mark use that for Knights of Evening Star?
He does. That's how I first found out about it. God, we should be getting sponsored.
You explaining that kind of sounds like a great one to use with Mysteries of Candlekeep. With the way that one's set up.
I know nothing about that one.
Basically, it's a bunch of one-off adventures, but like it's level 1, level 2, level 3, all the way up to level 20.
Oh yeah, well it's the Candlekeep book. That one, I don't know if the Stronghold and Followers thing would work that well for that particular book. Because
the way I'm thinking, since it's a bunch of one-shots, you could use the Stronghold part as the way to tie it all together.
You could, but you would have to kind of modify that book and just how it works is since it's modeled around sort of this meta narrative where your party is in Candlekeep reading random books and then those books transport you to the adventure location.
Sonia punches the books.
Oh shit, it's Nick. What's up? We're doing an After Dark number 2. How's the baseball game?
It's good. Clippers won.
Nice.
Spoiler.
Spoiler if you care about minor league baseball.
Yeah. It was the I think Strongholds and Followers would work really well with Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Since similarly to what you were saying, it's a series of one-offs that are all kind of loosely connected, and you could use it as filler in between each of them.
Yeah, I think it could with Ghost of Saltmarsh.
See, I've never done Saltmarsh, so I'm completely unfamiliar with it.
Ghosts of Saltmarsh would honestly be really fun with our group. Like regardless of what kind of characters we were playing, just knowing what I know about the adventure, the kind of shenanigans that we would get up to, and the socioeconomic damage we would cause in the
Oh
region
God.
around Saltmarsh is immeasurable.
Well, we could always, do that one with new characters.
Put it on the pipeline, because I definitely think Saltmarsh. I think it would fit just our kind of loosey goosey, like romp around and cause problems, then eventually solve them style of
Right.
chaos.
We so this problem's going on, and we hide the fact we're the cause of it. Hey, we'll fix it.
And I think there's a lot of opportunity for just the way that we play. I think there's a lot of opportunity to just cause mayhem. And plus, getting our own ship. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think us having something like a ship, I see us just turning into fucking pirates.
God, our group with even an airship. I feel like the airships would
especially
probably
an airship.
it would be worse. Yes. It
Yeah,
would
I mean, if we're just contained to water, we can only do so much damage. Airships, we can go everywhere.
Yeah, you know what? That was a good point. The way I worded that probably wasn't the best. But you understood what I meant anyway.
But like, yeah, us with on the high seas, we're just gonna end up being fucking pirates. Like, I hope you all know that.
I'm okay with that.
Same.
So am I. I'm just saying, like, we need to resolve ourselves to like we're gonna end up being a lot of bad pirate jokes.
We can't go to the water.
This all just sounds like arguments for doing it.
I'm gonna make a lot of Death Clock references.
This sounds like you convincing me that we need to do a pirate campaign.
I've been playing so much Sea of Thieves.
Go into.
I'm in the pirate mindset.
I have a campaign I've been wanting to do that's pirate adjacent.
Yeah.
That's my new subgenre, pirate adjacent.
It involves water.
Yeah.
Like the ocean. I don't want to say more than that because it spoil what like the prize is, but like
Fair enough. Completely fair and valid.
He wants to be a mermaid.
Could you imagine
close.
though? Could you imagine just having a fishtail?
I want to play or run,
Now I have mermaider stuck in my head.
but especially want to play like a bayou dark fantasy horror game.
That'd be cool. Like a Weird West sort of deal.
Yeah, like medieval hunt showdown, medieval fantasy hunt showdown.
That'd be cool. That'd be tight as shit.
Okay,
Yeah.
when you say,
oh man, I need to. Okay, then I need to get to working on it because it's a spooky.
when you
spooky
say
water
bayou,
campaign.
are we talking like, haha, close up to New Orleans bayou?
No, we talking swamp thing,
Or-
right?
Oh, you don't go out there. No, don't fuck with them people out there, bayou.
I'm talking deep, dark, in the swamps,
They ain't
alligators
fucking
everywhere.
finding you. Okay,
Yeah,
we're talking Marie Laveau bayou.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Gotcha.
but
Yeah, I'm all
I
for that.
figure a cool like social hub for like the players to come back to, or like a town. Okay, here's what would be perfect: Diablo in a bayou inspired setting. That
Okay,
is what. Yes.
that's an interesting combo, and I love it.
So I googled.
Sounds like we need to get to writing an adventure.
Yeah, fellas. So I googled Texas Bayou, just because. And then I learned that there's a city called Uncertain, Texas.
Yeah.
There's
It has-
Intercourse, Pennsylvania.
As of 2018, Uncertain, Texas has a population of 59.
It's a very small city.
We just need to move 10 people into that city.
Yes. That would be very nice. Oh wait, there's 71 as of 2019. That's a Google one. The 2018 one was a Wikipedia.
It's only a little wet. Like if I remember correctly, it's only a little west from like Dallas, not west east. By it's right by Big Lake. Yep, if I believe.
Yep, Big Lake. You know, humans are very good at naming things.
Look, there's like a million lakes in that. Like that part of Texas. There's a million lakes. All right, you know,
Yeah.
especially by Dallas and stuff. So it's like, what do you want? It barely
Wow.
misses the. It barely misses like the
There really are just
Louisiana
like a
River.
million fucking lakes here.
No, the Mississippi. Yeah, it just barely misses the Mississippi River.
Holy
So,
shit.
yeah, that part of Texas is a lot of lakes, but they're not like it's like it's called Big Lake, but it's not really that big a lake.
It's not as big as if we scroll down here a little bit. It's not as big as Toledo
It's
Bend
not,
Reservoir.
I was gonna say it's not as big as like the Gulf, which is like an hour and a half away from it.
All I'm hearing is that they're piddly and not worth mentioning because we have the Great Lakes up here.
Yeah, you guys got your dumb Great Lakes. Fuck you, we got the Mississippi. Yours is just a bunch of water that's in one place. Ours goes all across the state.
Yeah, but let's talk about its namesake. I mean, do you really want to be named after Mississippi?
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Damn.
Erie, Indiana is so much fucking. Erie Lake Aries are so cool. You and your failed like Fox Kids television show.
I mean, we were only, the only way to get any kind of cargo from the Atlantic Ocean through to Canada and the Midwest at all.
And
We're
now we're just
still
one of
the
the.
only way.
And now we have like one of the top 5 most stressed cities in the United States.
Yeah, that's true.
And also the most polluted Great Lake.
Yeah.
Well,
with us.
okay, hold on. We're gonna have that one regardless because we're the only Great Lakes.
I'm talking about Lake Erie specifically.
Well, yeah, but like what I'm saying is there's the 5 Great Lakes. They're all up here. Of course we're going to have the most polluted by like virtue of they're the only Great Lakes. Because going by that same metric, we also have the least polluted because they're the only Great Lakes. It's not like there's Great Lakes in Michigan and then Great Lakes in Montana.
You're
You get what I'm
arguing
saying?
semantics.
No, I'm arguing that it's a moot fucking category.
You're just being obtuse.
I will agree to that.
Green
Yes,
moose
you are
guava
correct.
juice.
Guava juice.
Large fried chocolate shake. I forget the rest of the shit.
Got a lake called Lake O the Pines. Lake O apostrophe the Pine.
Lake of the Pines. I learned recently that Ellis Island in New York isn't actually situated in New York. It's within the New Jersey border. But what they did is that the area that surrounds the Statue of Liberty belongs to New York. Everything else on the island is New Jersey.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit like that when it comes to New York and New Jersey.
You know, there was a whole ass war fought between Ohio and Michigan over the control of Toledo.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know why. Maybe it was better back then, but I don't see why they would have fought over it now.
One person was shot, and when Michigan gave up the Toledo Strip, the government was like, but you can have the Upper Peninsula.
I think we kind of won that exchange.
I don't know. I heard Yoopers aren't nothing to fuck with.
No, Yoopers are just a little weird. They're not anything, bad. It's people from the thumb that you don't fuck with.
Ooh, this is interesting. This is juicy goss.
Like they're just it's in my experience, people that have come from like the places out in the thumb, they're just it's a
Out in
very
the thumb.
it's a very similar vibe to like the hills of Kentucky.
Huh.
Take like Kentucky minus the incest.
Phew.
Then you have nothing.
No, I'm
Jesus
talking
Christ.
like the people out in Appalachia, like the
Hey man, the Appalachians are pretty fucking cool.
right, but like you don't fuck with the people out there.
That's true.
They're a bit off because of being cut off and all that. Like it's a similar vibe. Like, not a straight comparison, but in my experience, it's a very similar, like, you make me uncomfortable vibe. And you can't quite put your finger on why.
Apologies to anyone from Appalachia.
Hey, they're the ones that invented moonshine. I got no problem with them.
That's, you know
My
what?
mom's side
Good
of the
point.
family comes from West Virginia, so
Like,
I
Like,
can
you
only
guys
make fun of
invented
them as
moonshine,
much as
like-
I can make fun of myself, which is a lot. So
you make moonshine, you're good in my book.
I'm scrolling in through West Virginia. There's a place called Hacker Valley.
Okay, and you know what? I am going to throw a caveat on that. Most of the people from the Thumb I've met have also been truckers, which are already a bit on the weird side.
Hey, my grandpa was a trucker.
Yeah, and I work at a truck yard.
my grandpa was also a trucker.
So, like, I understand the quirkiness of truckers. Well, I don't understand it, but I have experience with it. So that may also tint that a little bit. People that aren't truckers from out there may be a little better. I haven't really met them. Like, most of them have been truckers.
My grandpa also painted most of the signs for small businesses you see in and around Toledo.
Well, that's kind of awesome.
The Tony Paco sign, that's my grandpa.
All right, here's something that's going to piss people off that are local that listen. I can't fucking stand Tony Pacos.
I've never actually eaten there.
It's just a hot dog place, it looks like. All the images I'm seeing here are just hot dogs.
It is pretty famous for hot dogs. I always get
Also, fuck
Is it
you,
their-
Coney dogs are better.
their chicken paprikash. That's pretty good. I like anything that has any like Eastern European food with dumplings is good with me because my family has a recipe. I don't know where it comes from, like what.
I know where my family's comes from. We're Hungarian,
Yeah,
and that's where ours comes from. So it's probably around that same kind of area. So Hungary, Romania.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Basic,
that bit of
Let's-
Toledo has a pretty big Hungarian population.
lot of
basically
Polish as
every
well.
place Strahd took for inspiration.
I have well, my family has this recipe that's it's got like dumplings, some kind of meat. Usually, I think it's usually turkey, but I think it might have been originally beef. I have no clue. But like dumplings, turkey, onions, and potatoes, all in like a broth, and it's like for me, it's like my favorite comfort food. It's up there with poutine.
Now, see, that's one I've never had and want to have.
Oh, it's
I've never
so
had
good,
poutine
dude.
either.
My
Like,
first time in
It's
Montreal.
not as weird as you think it is, because it's because they use the word cheese curds, but it's just like cheese
just
sticks or whatever,
cheese.
you know.
Yeah, it's
I
just
don't
cheese.
Oh, I've
think
had
it's-
cheese curds before.
Yeah, I don't think it's weird. It's more that it's like it's French fries, or not French fries, cheese curds, gravy, like just every fat kid staple.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's fries, cheese, and a little gravy on top. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I can see that.
Like I'm all for everything in that. Give it to me.
yeah. Like I'm honestly shocked that it hasn't really taken over in America because it sounds like an American food.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can fully agree with that. That it sounds more American than Canadian.
I think the cheese curds are maybe what do it for Americans because I think most Americans. I mean, I'm
me just a
surprised
second.
Americans haven't cursed it and just taken poutine and appropriated it with like melted fucking cheese or something. I'm surprised that hasn't
Or
happened.
just like smothers it in fucking butter.
Like I know it exists in places. I know there are American restaurants that make it, and I know there's something called like disco fries, which is basically just poutine with like some kind of melted cheese. But like what I'm saying is I'm surprised it's not huge in America like it is in Canada. Like you can go to
Right.
McDonald's in Canada and get poutine, which when I would visit Canada, my ex from Montreal would hate every time I would go to McDonald's and get McDonald's poutine because she would be like, She's like, why are you doing that? It's not good. Like, it's like the worst quality poutine you could buy. And I'm like, it's still poutine, and I'm still eating it.
It's like, you wanted that bad, I'll fucking make it.
I get you. I mean, I lived in Texas, and I still went to Taco Bell every now and then.
Yeah.
Look, I don't go
You
to
know
Taco
what's
Bell
good?
because I want authentic Mexican cuisine. I
Yeah.
go because I'm broke and I want fucking tacos.
Yeah, literally. I don't go to
I
Taco
want
Bell
something
to
that
get.
they'll lie to me is tacos, is what I want.
Yeah,
You'll
I
tell
go
me it's
because I
tacos.
want to just stuff my face with cheap beef and nacho cheese.
I need 10 pounds of beef and cheese in my body, and I've only got $5. Right?
I just want a beefy 5-layer burrito and some potato fiesta bowl.
I don't even go to Taco Bell anymore. They got rid of the Mexican pizza. There's no point to go.
Cheesy gordita crunch, man.
I miss the
Ah,
nacho fries. As cheap and
The nacho fries
Kinda-
are back.
they're back, man.
they are.
That's it the other
They
day. We just
Their
hear,
mom stopped
we hear
being a hoe. They're
the
back.
shaped cloud that's appearing now.
Why did I just order pizza? I could have Uber Eats some Taco Bell.
Quick, delete it.
It's too late.
It's already on the. Call him. You got the driver's number. Yo, can you stop by? I'll pay you, man.
Here's my card number. Pick us up some Taco Bell. Get yourself something too.
Yeah.
So here's a question for everybody. What is a character that you almost played instead of your current character in our ongoing campaign? Like what other ideas were you considering when we first started?
Okay. I'll go first here because it's a character I've had for a while. I just hadn't figured out how to translate them to 5e yet. I think I've told you guys about him before. I'm not sure. It was a halfling barbarian.
I like it already.
It's vaguely familiar.
He was based in 3.5, so there was a lot of variant class features to take out. Like, he didn't rage, he got ferocity, so it went to dex instead of strength. But I have this whole backstory for him. He was the son of traveling merchants. They're going, place to place. They're going through a heavily wooded area, and as they're coming out of it, there was an ambush set up by orcs. Kid runs, ends up having an orc chase him. He hides in a temple, or it's an old abandoned temple. Like, you can't tell who it ever used to be part of.
Yeah.
Well, he ends up cowering in front of what was the statue, but it's so worn and crumbling. Well, he's cowering underneath it as the orc raises its sword. That's when it gives, and like it splits from like one side of the neck, like down across the chest. Basically, take the shoulder and like just a chunk into the torso under the neck, and that's what falls and crushes the orc. Kid's 5, 6 at this point, so like he can kind of read. He's got
Yeah.
a vague idea of how the world works a little bit. So he ends up just living in the temple. And there was a 3.5 prestige class that ended up giving him basically some paladin type powers, and I forgot which subclass I ended up translating over for that. Actually, wait, now that I think about it, I think I used him in one of our one shots. If you guys remember Burston?
Oh, yep.
Oh,
yeah, no, I almost used him for the main campaign.
That would have been great.
But I couldn't figure out how to get him properly translated. As I'm going through it, I'm like, wait a minute, I remembered telling all this before on a cast, and then it clicked. Wait, no, roll 20. I have him created on here. He almost was main cast instead of a one shot.
Yeah, I'm the dungeon master, so not a lot of character choices for me, huh? I do have a Tabaxi monk though, named Stroke of a Brush, that I probably would have used if I were a character in this ongoing campaign. What about you, Nick? I have a feeling you just had Sonia ready, like, to go as soon as it was
Uh,
asked.
uh, uh, I changed her slightly. I was just gonna. She was just gonna be Sonia Belmont, and the idea that was that she was a member of the Belmont family, but like she's stupid, and so no one trusts her to become like a vampire, professional vampire killer, and so she's come to kill Dracula ahead of time, and she fucked up, and now she's in Ravenloft instead, fighting what's his name,
Strahd?
Strahd, yeah, that like she's a bad, she's an idiot, so instead of actually going to like Transylvania, she ended up in Ravenloft instead. And I was gonna have this thing where every time someone says Strahd's name, she's gonna be like, "Oh, you mean Dracula? Oh, you mean Dracula? Dracula. We're talking about Dracula, right?"
I love that. Love that. So, what character would you have played, or did you almost play instead of Ilfeladel?
I was very torn because we were at the time. Um, Basically, you were going to be running two different Curse of Strahd campaigns.
Yeah.
One was IRL with some friends of ours, and I could not decide. I had two characters in mind. One of them was Ilfeladel, and I could not decide who I wanted to play um, in which campaign. And I was like, I don't know. And I had, you know, my other idea, and I had this idea for this, this kind of funny, like really weird, strange necromancer who just um, who doesn't really respond uh, to normal human behaviors. I ended up choosing Ilfelodel for this campaign because I was like, this other character is very complicated, and at the time I didn't know any of our other players um, in our podcast game, so I was like, I don't know, if it's going to be. Basically, I didn't know what the group dynamic was going to be, what it was going to play like. Um, and so I was like, I'll stick with the weird kind of funny necromancer, um, because regardless of how the group dynamic turns out, I know I can have fun just being a weird, creepy son of a bitch. Um, but my other character was a human hexblade warlock who I had named Cursival, as sort of like a alteration of like Knights of the Round Table Percival, um, and the idea for him was sort of this like dark fantasy version of like an Arthurian knight, or rather someone who sees himself like an Arthurian knight. Um, he believes that he has these like mystical powers because he has some destiny or some purpose, but in truth, his powers come from some dark, sinister entity that you know that has plans for him, but Cursival had no idea what the extent of those plans were and what they actually involved. Um, but he wields this black sword, um, and he thoroughly believes that his patron is actually some um, like a Lady of the Lake type figure, but
Gotcha.
yeah, it's actually him being pretty much manipulated and tricked into going down a much more sinister path than what he believes. Um, and looking back, I'm kind of like, fuck, that would have been so cool to play with like the other party members. Um, just because, like, I mean, that kind of character, I think would mesh really well with the group in a lot of ways. I mean, Othello meshes well in his own weird way.
Mhm.
Um, but like, I could really imagine the kind of conversations that Cursival would have with like Vareth, given that they would both have sort of kind of some sense of honor that I think they could share with each other.
Which is weird because I never like intended for Vareth to be like.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to be the team dad. That is not the intent I came in with. I expected to actually go a lot more on the I don't want to say comedy, but like not as reserved and more serious than the rest that he's
Right.
ended up being.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, not that I'm
Also-
complaining about it, he's turned into an amazing character.
Also, quick question. Vareth, isn't your like patron or deity some like it am I wrong? Isn't it something like the dark entity or something? Or like
No,
or is oh no, I'm thinking of Jack. Jax is the like the dark entity or something like that, right?
Something along those lines.
Um
yeah, I think that's what he called it.
I mean just the amount of potential crossover with you know whatever the fuck Cursival's patron. In fact, one thing that was kind of fun with Cursival was I didn't decide exactly who his patron was. I handed that over to you, Matt, as just like this patron is whatever. Like you decide what my patron is. That way, it'll be a surprise. It'll be just as much a surprise to me as it is to Cursival.
Yeah, and I came up with some just shenanigans that
Yeah, I remember
I
there
know
being pseudopods and
Yeah, there were a lot of pseudopods, and like the patron be like, "I'm going to make you fat so you can destroy everything."
yeah.
Just weird shit like that I know physically made you cringe.
So a lot of body horror is what you're saying.
Yeah, more or less.
I interpreted it as like making me fat on slaughter and as like a metaphorical thing of like I'm gonna
Yeah.
make you so gluttonous with bloodlust and
Mm-hmm.
like violence that you
Yeah,
will.
that's a fun idea. It's not. It's fat. Like when you look up Fat Rouge on the internet, it's fat. That's what he's talking about. That's what it needs to be. That's what it's going to be. What I'm saying right now is what it is.
It was he was a cool character though. But I have so many characters stuck in my head that I'm waiting to play that there's not much there's not much room for mourning what could have been when it comes to Cursival because I'm like there's so many other characters I've got to fucking get out of my head.
Yeah, I got a bunch sitting in my head too. I actually was able to just do one for another game I'm playing. It's an aberrant mind sorcerer, Wanti Pureblood, and I've only been able to play like a session with him, so I'm not real sure on his vibe yet. But I love all the flavor and the aberrant mind and the whole like a snake controlling tentacles. I like the theming I can do there.
Yeah, aberrant mind sorcerers are fucking crazy.
Yeah. See, everyone has like different characters. I like the concept of just taking this one character and having her just fucking go through everything. You know.
Yeah.
Like I was talking with that with a Joss the other day, where I was like I just want to like if we do any more games, I want to see how I can bring Sonia. And Sonia's an elf, so she technically lived for a long time. So I could sit there and say it's been like 1,000 years, and maybe she's chilled on punching and now wants to try to be a mage. and Josh I think he just hates the idea of like having one character and using it. He's like, no, then just make other characters. Like, no, that's not like this.
Yeah,
Is more fun to me.
It's like if it's what you want to do, great, but that just sounds incredibly boring to me.
Oh, I love that because it's like especially if you consider I consider it within the context of like elves live like forever ish.
They
Like
don't live forever.
they live like thousands of years, right?
No, they live
Not
hundreds.
thousands, no.
I thought,
In
Okay, you're thinking Tolkien elves?
yeah,
And no, D&D elves, I think, are like 800 at
Now I'm
most.
Yeah.
gonna say, is that like third edition on? Because in like token elves and like first and second edition were like just also like super, or is it like nah since D&D
Since
started they've only
D&D's been a thing, yeah, they've had an upper limit, but it's so far past that like most people that play them,
yeah
like we're talking back when haste to cast it took 5 years off your life.
yeah.
What
So
the
it's like
fuck?
I see even with only like 700 years, I see like Sonia's only like 80 now. Like
Like
200 years. Who's to say like 200 years? It's like I want to
Yeah,
try something
I
different.
can
I
see
can
an
be a different
elf.
person.
I
Yeah, I
think
can see
elves
an
in
elf.
first edition lived to like 2000.
yeah, but like they had an upper limit. They weren't
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
yeah. I could definitely see an elf getting to like, I don't know, 500 years old, because that's like the equivalent of like 50 and being like, different career path. Let's go.
I
There's
could be
something
like it could be something completely different, and no one would know because everyone I know will be dead in like 20 years.
Right.
yeah. There's something I've always kind of wanted to do with an elf character where I feel like typically people make when they make an elf character and they want to make him like a young new adventurer, they look at the book and they're like, okay, elves reach like adulthood, like uh, I mean, they reach physical maturity at the same rate as humans, probably to avoid weirdness. Um, but like an elf in elven culture isn't considered adult until like 100. Um, I think a lot of people see that and they're like, okay, my young, fresh new adventurer elf, I'll just make them like 100 or 101 or something. Um, which is that, I mean, that's totally fine. But I've always thought, why not make an elf who's like 20 or 30? You're still you're still physically
a
mature.
wee bab.
So
Like,
I did that with Sonia. Sonia's original age was 24,
yeah.
and then Matt got into the idea that I have a kid, and I felt that that would break the world a bit because in elf terms, that would make her like a still a
She's
not
a
even a
baby
teenager.
raising a baby.
Yeah, but
If
then
it
she
was
had a
an,
kid now, so I was like, oh, let's bump it up to like
it could
still
be with a
young teen
human.
mom. So I was like 80. You know,
Yeah,
Or do you have a child?
it could
at
be
this
that
point, I've
you
already written that story. You can't change it now. I've already fucking written it.
it could be that you had a child with a human where it's not as weird.
Yeah, that I think that's what I decide on. It's like, yeah, it's just like he was a young kid too, but it's
But
just like,
yeah, I've always thought like for a while now it'd be cool to play a character, an elf who's like, 20s or 30s or even as high as like 40s or 50s, where you're still, you're still an elf, so you're still young to elven culture and all that stuff, but you're still young enough that it makes sense that you're still a fresh adventurer. You're still green. Because let me tell you, if I had 100 years, um, if I had 100 years basically living in my like 20s, um, like if I was 21 for 100 years, let me tell you the amount of skills I could pick up. Like
The
I would
amount
get
of
so good at
partying.
so many things.
The amount of
Um,
partying.
that too.
that was the idea. That's what I want to do with Sonya. It's like she's an elf. Like if it takes one human lifetime to say master like a class, right? Like
Yeah.
someone picks a fighter and they're fine. Cool. That's like a seventh of my lifespan total.
Yeah.
Okay, and see
1 year I
this is
learned how to be a fighter, and so now if I ever want to switch to fighter class, I'll start at level 1 to play the game. But it's like she can just do that. Yeah, that makes sense.
okay, and see this is where I have an issue with those types of characters. Why do you no longer have access to the skills you already know?
Well, I could always. The idea I had is it depends on where we play, since most of the time, whenever you completely start with new characters, you're in a different world, right? Or dimension at least, right?
No, it's usually
So,
the same setting.
well, it's like, yeah, I could just,
But
I mean,
that's
the easiest answer I came up with was Sonya just forgot. She's an idiot. Like 200 years later, she's still dumb dumb. Like she learned how to be able to read books and retain a bit of information, but she's still like, you know,
If she's
moron.
that dumb, she can't actually function as like any
And it's like,
class.
oh, you say that, but once again, I go with like 100 years, dude. I don't remember stuff that I did like 10 years ago. I learned how to play baseball once. I don't remember any of that. I learned how to play. I spent like 3 years in football in high school. I don't remember anything about that.
Yeah.
And I was like, now, granted, with magic classes, I probably couldn't do that. I probably could, like that'd be a little different thing. But I'm like, any physical classes, like I could like do a thing. It's like, yeah, it's like I can use a bow. I learned how to be really good at it, but it's been like 200 years.
Except when you get to physical classes like that, it gets to be muscle memory, so it doesn't matter if you can actually remember it. Your muscles remember it.
No, you can lose muscle memory.
Oh, you can absolutely use just remembering.
You get a trophy.
That happened to
Atrophy?
me. Yeah, that happened to me.
Listen,
I took like a year or two off of work, and then when I finally went back to do my physical job, I completely, it was all gone. All the like
Yeah.
second nature stuff I learned.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that can't happen, but like, how do you justify that in an adventurer? Like, they're not just gonna stop long enough to forget shit.
Yeah,
It's also like
it's
Sonia's
possible
like,
that they do.
yeah. At least with Sonia, I think I've established pretty much that Sonia would ever like, I'm gonna try to be a fighter. It'd be like, I'm not using any of my monk stuff. Why not? Because that would be cheating.
And an atrophy is more losing muscle mass, not so much muscle memory.
So I'd be like, yeah, I like. If I could want to, I could use my dope monk shit with the axe, but that would be cheating. I said I'm going to learn how to be a fighter, and I'm going to learn it.
And one thing about when it comes to like muscle memory, any change in structure or like physiology of your muscles can be pretty disastrous on like muscle memory. Like that's one thing I learned that I mean, it makes perfect sense, so it's kind of obvious, but I didn't think about it before. Was like when you're a kid, and let's say you do like a sport or something, and then you go away for the summer, and let's say you don't do any of it, like you don't really play it. Like let's say a good example would be wrestling. Like if you did wrestling in school, then over the summer, if you just didn't wrestle, and you come back the next year, your everything would feel wrong, everything would feel off, because just when you're a kid, you grow so fast over such short amount of times, that change to your physiology, it throws off all the perceptions of your muscles, like of muscle memory essentially. But that's I feel like that's a minor thing, really. If you could justify playing just about whatever kind of character you want. Like, I want to play a John Wick style character one day. I want to play like the retired badass who gets dragged back into some shit.
I was gonna say, if you want, are you talking like specifically like the gunplay aspect? Because then you could do like a ranger that dual wields hand crossbows.
That would be pretty fun too.
That
I
would
want to
be.
play a ranger really badly, actually, because I love rangers and I have not gotten to play them almost ever. Like in the entire time that I've played D&D, I've never played a ranger in a full campaign, and I've only played them a couple times in like one-offs or like short series, but I love rangers, so it doesn't make any sense to me.
I've heard that for 5th edition, if you're gonna do one, you want to use the revised class, because like that by book one is, I guess, pretty underpowered compared to everything else. Like to the point it's kind of not fun.
So I've watched a lot of videos on this recently, and it seems like there's kind of a shift in the way people are thinking about rangers lately. Over the last, like, I don't know, over the last year, let's just say, I've seen a lot more content of people talking about rangers and specifically their place in 5th edition. And there have been a lot of really good points that I think people have made about the Rangers one of the common complaints is that the Ranger's not the best at anything. every class does one of the Rangers' tasks better. Rogues sneak better. Fighters and barbarians fight better. Druids and wizards and sorcerers and bards all do spells better. But I think that there's a really interesting and valuable place for Rangers as sort of like if you wanted to play Aragorn, basically. Like I think if you wanted to play Aragorn as a ranger, like a strategic, you're the leader, not in the sense that you boss everyone around, but in the sense that you know where everyone shines. So it's like you know how to like get your team into the fight, how to protect them, how to utilize their strengths, and how to keep them together as a team. And
You're
and
talking
also just all
basically.
the tracking, all the like. I think Rangers thrive as a sort of Aragorn-esque leader character.
I can see that.
And there's also the matter of like the Ranger, is not the best at anything, but the Ranger is consistently good at everything that it does. It's not the best at fighting, it's not the best at sneaking, it's not the best at magic, but they're good at all of those things.
And that's because a lot of people don't remember the second half of that saying. It's jack of all trades, master of none, but often better than a master of one.
Yeah.
Because the one guy's so highly specialized, he's only good in a specific situation.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, the fighter is going to fight better than a ranger, but what happens when the fighter gets overwhelmed? And the bard and the druid can heal way better than the ranger can, but what happens when they go down or they run out of spell slots? And the rogue can sneak better, but what happens when the rogue is exhausted or poisoned or just fails, has bad luck and fails? Like there's in a perfect world, all these classes can do everything better than the ranger, and you don't need him. But I think the fact that the ranger can go sneak up with the rogue, set the ambush, and they can pull off the ambush with the rogue, and then when the fighting starts, he can hold the front line with the fighter, and then take those long shots at the far away enemies. And let's say someone gets critted on and the cleric is either down or too far away, or is too pressed and can't waste he can't waste his action healing somebody because he's about to get overwhelmed, but that ranger can just dart up next to them, cure wounds. Like I think the fact that the ranger can
Say you need some quick
support
magical cannon fodder.
like the ranger doesn't have to be the you don't have
He's
to
a
be the best at
generalist.
everything. Like the ranger, if you think of the ranger as a support, suddenly he makes a whole lot more sense. If you just want to be like star DPS on the team, the ranger's simply not what you should be playing.
And
I mean,
that also depends whether you want to be physical DPS or magical.
Yeah.
I wish the ranger had a more special relationship with like bows and stuff.
See, they did in
cool.
previous editions.
Yeah, because like I felt like that would be like that's like their signature thing, but like they just do the same thing everyone else does. And granted, bows are fucking busted, but like,
see, I think there should be maybe like instead of like the fighting styles, they should have done maybe ranged styles for them.
I think it's interesting the idea that a ranger doesn't have to be the archer. I think that is neat, but I think a good middle ground to it would be giving the ranger some kind of like weapon specialization. Like the ranger has his or her or their special weapon. Like this is my spear. This is my bow. This is like Aragorn has his longsword.
I get what you're saying. They have like a legacy weapon almost.
Yeah, like if they had some kind of special connection to their weapon, I think that would help in kind of giving them that iconic sort of look and feel. Like it'd be really cool. Like you want to play the ranger who snipes people, and you like specialize. Like this is the longbow is my weapon.
Every ranger should have some kind of, even if it's just a normal weapon, the concept of like a named weapon.
Yeah,
Their thing, the thing that they have.
Mhm.
I get you. Like, so like really fucking pull from Aragorn,
Yeah.
which I'm not against. He's like the prototypical
I was gonna say,
ranger.
yeah,
He is
he's
the ranger.
It's hard
Yeah,
to find
I mean-
other rangers that don't dip into things
The
like
5th
archer
edition
or thief or
ranger-
something.
the 5th edition ranger is almost pulled. It's like they pulled Aragorn out of Lord of the Rings and put him in D&D. Like he is the arc. I'm pretty sure that they designed the ranger class in 5th edition specifically around Aragorn as a character.
I mean, Drist is
And
just a fucking white-haired Aragorn, right?
Kind of, in some ways.
Let's also point out that it's great they're not based around fantasy racism anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, like there is one subclass I think that still goes down that route,
No,
but it's
I
a
don't
lot
think
more
so.
generalized about it.
No, I don't think so.
I thought there was one that still does. It may have been one of the Unearthed Arcana ones, but I think one still has the favored enemy and everything.
Oh, okay. So there's, so obviously, favorite enemy got changed a lot with 5th edition. It's no longer like,
Fantasy racism.
like it is, but isn't. I suppose it's more generalized, where you pick a creature type like celestials or aberrations, or although I believe you can. I might be misremembering, but I think in the player's handbook, the wording is that you can either choose one like general type of creature,
Or
or you
several
can.
humanoids.
Yeah, I think you can go specifically into like one general creature type or like 2 specific types of creature, like orcs and gnolls or something.
And and if I remember when I read it last, it also comes across a lot more like a bounty hunter than I just hate these ones so much.
It's not. Yeah, it's not rooted in I hate this creature, so I'm really good at killing it. It's I've studied this creature.
Like you
And
need this kind of creature caught because they're a fugitive or whatever. You come to me
yeah,
because I've specialized in catching them.
I think that's a good place to stop for tonight.
gotcha.
It's getting a bit late.
We're
One
getting
additional
into
point.
heavy shit.
Legolas is not a ranger. Legolas is a fighter, at most a fighter rogue combo.
Yeah.
That is all.
Yeah, I could see him as a ranged, specialized
Yeah.
fighter. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the most rangery thing he does is when he says they're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Isengard?
And that's literally just his elven senses. That's not any kind of ranger skill that he acquired. Aragorn is, I mean, picture perfect ranger right there. If you want to play a ranger, don't listen to what people are telling you. Take inspiration from Aragorn, but make it your own character first and foremost. But if you want to just play Aragorn reskinned, that's fine too. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not okay to play a trope character. I think that's so stupid. Tropes are tropes because we love them.
Hence why I have a wizard sitting in reserve that's Harry fucking Dresden.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening to the second episode of Moral Ambiguity After Dark. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at AmbiguousPod. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/ambiguouspod. You can find our YouTube channel. If you search Moral Ambiguity Podcast, it's there. It's also a link in the show notes, as is everything else. Wanted to give a shout out to the artist Youngtown for our theme song for After Dark, Tale of Magenta Sky.
Ooh, I like that title.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.